NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt joins us. Thank you so much for stopping by Daily Blast Live. What brings you to Denver?
We are in the middle of a road trip. Nightly News is broadcasting from 5 cities over 5 nights, and we're basically looking at stories that resonate in hometowns across America. And we looked at the opioid crisis in Portland. They've got some unique things they've been doing. Here in Denver, we're looking at the experience with legalized pot as it relates to driving under the influence. You know, police officers still struggling with how do we test people, and it's important because, as you know, a lot of communities across the country now are moving toward legalized pot.
After 70 years of Nightly News, what do you think of when you hear the words fake news?
I always fake news to me always meant that you make something up out of thin air.
Right.
You're like, hey, Martians landed. That's fake news to me. The way it's being used now, I'm not quite sure. I mean, because you don't like a story doesn't make it fake. I suppose inaccurate news, when somebody gets it wrong and makes a mistake or doesn't fact check, that can happen. Yeah, the fake news thing, it kind of escapes me.
Do you feel the media is under assault?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty clear that the media is not revered in the current administration. But having said that, I mean, historically, it's always been an adversarial relationship between the press and the White House. A free and independent press is an important pillar of our democracy. You mentioned 70 years. You can't insult away 70 years of building up integrity and trust with viewers and the tradition of excellence. So, we wince a little bit when we hear those things, but it doesn't affect what we do. We march forward and tell stories. And I like to remind people that news isn't always going to make you happy.
Right.
I mean, sometimes
comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we're going to tell you a story that's going to make you squirm, or it's going to challenge, what you believe about something, and that's the way it is. Sometimes I'm reading a story and I want to throw my shoe at the TV set.
Have you ever thrown a shoe at the TV?
No, I really haven't. It's not my style.
It'd be like a good fashionable shoe, though.
Yeah,
it'd be a nice shoe.
Yeah.
It would be a nice one. I wanted to go to your interview with Donald Trump. There was a moment in which he sort of or almost confessed to saying, when I was thinking of firing FBI Director James Comey, that I was thinking about the whole Russia thing. You were sitting there, sitting at the president. Did you know at that moment, wow, this is a big admission here?
I was going to fire Comey. My decision.
I knew at that moment that he was owning things because we had arranged for the interview before he fired Comey, and we sat down, and when he made that statement, I realized, okay, he's really going to open up here. Let's see where this goes. Right. And so I kept trying to keep him focused. And anytime you're interviewing a politician, they tend to, you ask what time it is, they tell you what color the sky is. So that's par for the course. So I try to keep him obviously very focused. And to his credit, he owned.
He ran with it.
He owned the firing, that it was his idea. He didn't, it wasn't based solely on this recommendation.
Do you think he regretted it at the moment when you were looking at him? Was he like, oh, oops, I've made a mistake, or did he just run and own it?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's his style to ever, to retreat. So I think he owned it. I mean, I think that he meant everything he said, and so be it. As a journalist, you always want your work to have impact, and so it's certainly gratifying that that it's still getting some attention. But I will say this: any journalist, given the timing, would have asked the same questions.
Oh, yeah.
He had just fired Comey, so there was no magic secret sauce. I just happened to be the guy there, and hopefully was able to keep focus on the interview.
I would say that Lester Holt is the magic secret sauce.
Well, think I could bottle it?
I think we could sell this. We're onto something here.
But if you bottled it and you took it, you would never sleep.
Nope.
You would work all the time.
Constantly. Is that what you're doing? Are you always working?
Pretty much.
Wow. How do you think about Kanye? I would love to know your take on Kanye.
Kanye is a provocative guy. This is what he does. So some of the things he said recently, I suppose they were meant to shock. I'll leave it to most people as to whether it made any sense.
Do you listen to his music?
No.
What music do you listen to?
No, I like jazz.
Oh.
I'm more Coltrane than Kanye. I'm a musician.
I was going to say you slap at the bass.
Yeah. Well, I like jazz. I play a lot of the upright bass, but I'm in a rock band right now, so I do play.
Plug your band. What's your band's name?
We are called the Rough Cuts. And most of the band are video editors on Dateline, thus the term Rough Cuts.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, the roots, of course, on The Tonight Show, and they invited me to play with them on The Tonight Show one day.
That must have been awesome.
So I've scammed a lot to play with a lot of big stars.
All right, we're going to play a little game called Rapid Fire. So I just want you to have the first thing that comes to mind. I'm going to name.
My mind doesn't work that quickly.
I know, we'll go slow.
We'll
call
it
semi-rapid fire.
Right.
That's what we'll call it. All right, first up, Meek Mill.
Inspiring. and a symbol. A symbol to the idea of criminal justice reform.
Amen.
Can I have extra words?
You can have 4 to 5. Yeah, you're fine with that.
I think I went
Stormy Daniels.
Forced to be reckoned with. That was forced to be reckoned. Okay, that was.
You're within. That's very good. The royal wedding.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not normally, the whole royal thing is ever been a big deal, but this one, there's so many storylines.
I know.
I'm going way over now, but
no, that's totally fine. Are you going to the royal wedding?
It's up for debate. Yes, no, and we're going back and forth. But NBC will be there in a big way.
Okay,
obviously.
Great. You should be in a pub, have a brew. And finally, Henry Holt.
Oh, my grandson. That's my grandson. Oh, yeah, he was born last September.
That's amazing.
And, being a grandparent is very cool. It's just nice having a baby back in the family.
It's amazing. Everyone's face always falls into this wonderful feeling when I mention grandkids.
Yeah, it is. It's everything they say it is.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Well, Lester Holt, it was a pleasure meeting with you, speaking with you. I've been a huge fan of you since Dateline.
Oh, you're kind.
And since Chicago, so I really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you very much. This is fun, and you guys what a great, successful show, and I'm honored to be on it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Back to you guys.